Okay, when people think about San Antonio, what do they think about? The Alamo and the Spurs, right?
I
We're
was
well
just
known.
gonna say that's a fact. My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to the Closing Table podcast. I'm your host, Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this episode, excited to talk about real estate in her market, real estate professional Janet Wingrove. How are you, Janet?
Hey, Kevin, I am doing fabulous today. I am excited to be on your podcast. Looking
Why,
forward to
thank you.
it.
Yes, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be here. Not everyone
Sure.
does accept that, so we want to acknowledge you. Thank you first and foremost. So before we even get into real estate business, I always like to do this, separate the person from the profession. So if you
Sure.
can, in 60 seconds or less, tell us a little bit about yourself outside of real estate.
Okay, so I've been in San Antonio since 2005. I was a stay-at-home mom, started real estate. What I love to do is anything related to fitness outside of real estate. So CrossFit,
Hmm.
running. I find that it's a great outlet for getting stress out.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I was just in the gym yesterday
Uh,
after a long time of not being in there, and trust me, a lot of stress and tension in my body. I'm starting to feel it now, so I
y-
I get it. Yeah, get that stress right on up out of there. So good.
yes,
I like to hear other people actually investing in their physical health. It's just as important
yeah,
as your mental and everything else. So love to hear
correct.
that.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're here for real estate, right? Let's talk about your real
Yes.
estate business. I want you to just describe it for me and our audience. And if you are able to tell us how long you've been licensed, any notable achievements, and specialty or niche.
Okay, as mentioned previously, I was a stay-at-home mom. I got my license in 2007. I
Mhm.
been selling real estate for 17 years and just love it. What started out as a part-time gig is now definitely full-time, and the business is booming.
Mhm.
You asked about notable achievements. I've been able to, here in San Antonio, become part of an organization which is called like Platinum Top 50, which is the
Okay.
top agents in the San Antonio market.
Mhm.
Um, so things like that have gotten awards for production. So I just love it. It's my bread and butter.
Love it, love it, love it. And the fact that you've been acknowledged and recognized for your work just shows that you're a very successful and knowledgeable agent within your market. So congratulations for that top
Thank
50
you.
acknowledgement, by the way. Yeah.
Uh,
San Antonio. Take us all
yes.
there right now. We want you to describe your current market geographically. Get into as much details for a person like myself who has never been there. Tell us about it.
Okay, when people think about San Antonio, what do they think about? The Alamo and the Spurs, right?
I
We're
was
well
just
known.
gonna say that's a fact.
Yes, the Alamo and
Well
the
said.
Spurs. So let me tell you a little bit about our city. It is fabulous in terms of location. We're kind of just a little bit south of central Texas. The
Mm-hmm.
weather is fabulous year round. We don't get very cold in the winter. We might have a few days of hitting the teens. So
Mm-hmm.
we tend to be sunny year round, which is
Mm-hmm.
great for during the winter and also the summer months. People love coming to San Antonio because of the tourist attractions from the Alamo, and they like coming to the NBA games. And we do
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of activities for families, from the amusement parks, the Riverwalk, which a lot of people have heard
I've
about.
heard a lot about, yeah.
Yeah, the Riverwalk is a big attraction. There's other things to do, like golf courses. There's things to come and see besides the Alamo as well. We do have a lot of historical buildings downtown and hotels that have been renovated. People like doing ghost tours here in San Antonio as well. So it's just a fun place to come and visit.
I got to go back on a few things. One, ghost
Okay.
tours. Are you talking about people touring to see ghosts, which I feel like, how do you see ghosts? Or are we talking about ghost on a tour? I don't know. I'm just talking crazy. But
I
what is
guess
the
you could
ghost
have
tour?
both.
Technically.
Yeah. Yes, you can have both. No, so there are some companies that have uh, They do ghost tours in some of the downtown buildings, and
Mm,
one of the hotels that's known for having ghosts is the Menger Hotel, which is a hotel that has been around San Antonio for years and years and years. So
oh,
there
wow.
are people or companies that have capitalized on some of that historical value, would I guess you would say, and they do ghost tours downtown.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. I would
Mhm.
definitely never be a part of that. I don't like ghosts. I don't
I
get
don't
I'm
either.
not getting into I don't get into the whole getting scared for entertainment part, but to each his own.
Right.
Something else that you mentioned. You said the
Mhm.
weather is good year round. Now I think
Correct.
that's subjective, and this is coming from somebody born and raised in Michigan. I
Right.
like all four seasons, right? So
Mhm.
you kind of briefed over it a little bit. Said sunny pretty much all year round. You said during the winter it would get into the teens. Are we
Correct.
dealing with extreme heat? Other than that, what temperatures are we talking about during the winter? Well, during the winter you said teens, but what about the summer? Are there any drought issues also that you deal with there, or
Okay,
water
great.
reservations? I should say.
Yes, great question. So we do get hot in the summer. So if you
Mm-hmm.
are a person that enjoys being outdoors, whether physically, if you're running or hiking, swimming, we are the perfect place to do that. The temperatures can get up to over 100 in uh, in San Antonio in the summer, so it does get really hot. But the winter months, we have a few weeks where we might hit the teens, and I
Okay.
think so. Really, I mean, we're a great city for someone who enjoys spending time outdoors.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So no, I guess I'm asking the old drought question or water reservation question based on the fact that I spoke to an agent in Arizona and they
Uh-huh.
experienced that. And I know Arizona is very close to Texas. It's in that
Correct.
hot region. So any issues of that, any type of regulations when it comes to that? No, yes.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. So, drought
Mm-hmm.
issues, we do because it does get hot in the summer. In a lot
Mm-hmm.
of our yards, people love to plant grass, and of course, grass takes a lot of water, right, to maintain it to stay green.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it is not uncommon for the summer months where we have water restrictions due to the lack of rain here in the city. So yes,
Yeah.
that does play a part in our market.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. And I kind of figured that I wasn't 100%
Mhm.
sure, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe seeing or hearing something on the news about that a few years ago in that San Antonio area. Maybe I'm wrong about, water reservations and droughts and things of that nature. So I just want to bring it up from someone who is in that area to see if that is an actual thing. But thank you for
It is.
clarifying that and actually
And I
put it
will
out there.
say something really cool that the city does for the residents is they actually have times in the summer where you're able to pick up drought tolerant plants from the city to replace your existing landscape. That way, you're not
Hmm.
using as much water in your lawn or
Hmm.
to water your lawn. So it's kind of a cool thing the city does.
Interesting. Yeah, it is. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool, cool. So now that we've gotten a great picture as to, the atmosphere of San Antonio, tell us about the economics when it comes to real estate. What are we looking at in terms of average pricing, the biggest price, the lowest price, days on market, sell the list, any information you can give us, please.
Okay, I can do that. So our price, the average price has gone up considerably in the last couple years. I remember when the average price in San Antonio was about 250. Well, in the last few years, we've actually shot up to about 360 on average for the city as a
Man,
whole. Yeah, a
man,
big jump. COVID
yeah.
escalated our pricing, and we've been able
Mm-hmm.
to sustain those
Mm-hmm.
prices. What I see the trend happening with the pricing in real estate is we're going to continue to appreciate, but maybe not as big of a jump. But we're still seeing
Right.
home prices continue to jump up. As far
Mm-hmm.
as right now, days on market, I would say the average for the city is around between 60 and 70 days on market.
Wow.
Yeah, which has gotten longer, and
Yeah.
it's due, of course, to the economics as a whole with interest rates and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It makes sense. It's pretty much the same thing we've been seeing, not in all markets across the country, but the majority or a significant amount of markets across the country. We're seeing crazy increase in appreciation. Some
Hmm.
markets will say it's been just subtle, but overall, the COVID or the pandemic, I should say, affected everyone. But from 250 to 360, it's not the worst prices that we've heard across the country. It's still
Yeah.
reasonable, I would like to say. Would you agree?
I do agree. I think it's great for the San Antonio economy or market that we
Uh-huh.
saw those price increases. I think we had like a 30 some percent jump in one year, which is crazy. But with that being
Yo.
said, right, when you compare our market to other
Mm-hmm.
bigger markets or big markets, we're still fairly reasonable in terms of price. So we do have a lot of people still moving into San Antonio from different states. So we're
Mm-hmm.
still seeing an influx of buyers, like from California, from northern states that want to come to San Antonio because of the weather or just, our pricing. Our pricing's
Yeah.
still good. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
I imagine it's a pretty moderate cost of living there too, especially compared to the California markets and New Yorks and things like that. So yeah, yeah,
Yes.
great. It seems like a perfect place.
Yes, and we do not have a state tax. So that
Oh,
So that's even better.
oh, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness. You just made it even
Yes.
sweeter. Great,
Yes.
great place. Great place just off of that information. Thank you for sharing that with us. Um,
Yes.
Winter months. We're currently in the winter now, just passed
Mhm.
up the holidays. During
Correct.
this time, a lot of people find it to be inconvenient to either buy or sell a property during this time, mainly because the seasonality of the environment, or maybe just because they don't want to do all of that during the holidays, right? But as
Right.
most people, professionals who are experienced would say, this is probably the best time to start buying and or selling. Do you have any instances where you are helping sellers align their listing with the buyers out there who are very, very serious in buying during these winter or holiday months?
Right. So first and foremost, like timing a sale is super important. But when a lot of times I find that sellers have a reason or a timeline that they're working with to sell a
Hmm.
property. So if you're having to sell in the winter months, I feel like that could be an advantage. The reason being is that people tend to hold their properties until the spring. So we're always short on
Yeah.
inventory during the winter. So what I like to tell my buy or my sellers is that, it's a great time. The people that are currently looking to purchase during the winter months, they're more serious about the purchase.
Hmm.
Perhaps they need to get into the home. They like to be in the home before the holidays, or maybe their move is structured where they have to be in the new city by the end of the year. So I think if you're a seller and you need to enter the market in during the holidays, I say take advantage of that because it could be good. It could help get you that higher price you're looking for.
Wholeheartedly agree. I've had this conversation with a few guests over the last couple of weeks and or months, specifically during the winter seasons and the holiday season,
Mhm.
and we've all come to that conclusion for the most part. It's almost at a point where it seems so obvious and such like common sense, But as we know, common sense isn't common. Of course, people are going to tend to want to do more of those major moves during the time of the year where they're comfortable, where they
Right.
don't necessarily have to juggle getting gifts and shoveling snow with going through the intricacies of purchasing a home,
Right.
But like you said, if you're looking to purchase a home during the winter, the blizzard months, or the holiday month, you are very, very serious. You probably have a goal that you're trying to meet, a deadline that you're trying to meet. And anyone who is actually looking to sell a home should take that very, very serious and take advantage of that opportunity. I love
And
that you actually, advocated for that.
and there's tax advantages to buying before the end of the year.
Oh,
So
please, come on.
don't forget about that, that whenever you purchase a
Mm-hmm.
home before the end of the year, you can take some of those expenses or costs to that it took for you to buy that home, and you can actually deduct some of that on your income tax. So it's a great
Mm,
time. We have a lot of investors that are looking to buy properties before the end of the year for tax reasons as well. So
yes, yes.
can't forget
I
about that tax advantage. Mhm.
Thank you for explaining that because I that's not talked about often enough, taking advantage of the taxes when it comes to the real estate transaction. So
Mhm.
thank you for stepping on that for us real quick.
Sure.
You are not a stranger to the camera. You are actually a part of the American Dream TV South Texas series. Is that correct?
I am. It's been fun. I've been at it for a year, and it was something new that I had the opportunity to do. And so I'm starting my second year, and it's different. It's a different way of showcasing real estate and local businesses and
Mm.
people. And it's been fun, a great learning experience.
Love it. I'm starting to hear and see of it more and more. At
Mhm.
first, you were the first person I saw it, but after I started to do a little research, I'm seeing that it's in different markets. Different agents are doing it, so I'm gonna have to get a little bit more familiar with it. But I think I
Sure.
saw in one of your clips or something that you were during an episode talking to someone about Airbnbs in that market specifically. Airbnbs is a very it's a trip it's a it's a complex subject, let's say that, depending on your municipality. So, can you, for
Correct.
one, talk about Airbnbs and their effect in that market? And then, if
Mhm.
you're able to, talk about a time where you helped an investor obtain an Airbnb and take advantage of
Sure.
that as an investment.
So, one of the things that me personally, I have always worked with investors. I was blessed early in my career to meet an investor who has given me business, repeat business year after year after year. He's one of my really good clients. I do have another client that is also a repeat buyer, and he buys everything from long-term rentals, Airbnbs, and apartment communities. And he started doing some midterm rentals. So the thing about San Antonio is that just like we talked about earlier, people love to come to the city, but because of the amusement parks, the great weather, they can go hiking, they can go down to the Riverwalk. We have races like marathons people run here. And so we have universities that are close to downtown. So we have parents that love to come to the city to visit with their kids, and they get
Yeah.
to see all the attractions. So the Airbnb, the short-term rental market, is definitely a hit here in San Antonio. And there are regulations, like you can only have
Mm-hmm.
so many Airbnbs within a block and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like, you have to apply for them. You can't just buy a house and set up an Airbnb. That it
Right.
has to be approved by the city. So the clients that I have helped that want to start an Airbnb typically focus on the downtown area because there is a lot to do downtown, and it's a great
Mhm.
location. And you can get over $100 a night when you're renting out your home as an Airbnb.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad that you breezed over it, the fact that there are regulations to Airbnb. You
Hmm.
can't just buy a property and just start Airbnbing it out. And I asked about that because not all cities, municipalities, or counties allow Airbnbs. Some of them have
Correct.
actually, said that they restrict them or they don't allow them anymore at all. So anytime I do speak to an agent in a market that does allow them, I like to understand about helping investors get into that, and also how that short-term rental market affects the actual real estate market. Are you seeing it affect the real estate market, especially since the years that it has come into? Because Airbnb is a fairly new concept. Have you seen it
Right.
affect or seen the effects of the short-term rentals or Airbnbs on the long-term real estate?
Well, we have two different kinds of investors. We have the investors that just love the short-term rental market, and then you have investors that love long-term rentals. I personally am one that I like long-term rentals. So I personally invest in rental properties for long-term purposes. Now, I have clients that specifically they don't like long-term rentals. They want those short-term rentals. Some say there's more money to be made doing short-term rentals as far as revenue, and I believe there is. But for
Mhm.
somebody like me, I'm self-employed. For me, that's my passive income or residual income, and I like to have that steady check coming in every month from the long-term rentals, and,
Oh
and
yeah.
so. So there's a market for both. I think it's harder to do. There's more hoops that you have to go through to get in to establish a short-term rental, and so but again, there's a market for both, and I, especially San Antonio being such a tourist town, I think it's great. We see other investors coming into the market specifically for short-term rentals, so
Got you.
it's good.
Got you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It seems like it's good, especially if you're an investor on that side. It's definitely a great place to be. So I guess overall, you would say since Airbnbs have started in that market, you haven't
Mhm.
seen it affect real estate prices on actual single family homes. You haven't seen, what was something else I was gonna say? It's really that you haven't seen any effects on neighborhoods or people's effect or just perspective on single family homes within that neighborhood.
The neighborhoods that I feel have been most affected by the short-term rentals are going to be those that are closer to downtown
The
or
downtown, right? Okay.
right, which you have like the 100-year-old homes that are
Mm,
that are being renovated specifically for Airbnbs. But with that
okay.
being said, the value of those homes have shot up. It's
Really?
not
Okay.
yes, it's not uncommon for a market in that area to sell this small, 13, 1,500 square foot house 100-year-old house for 400 to 500,000 and then turn around and use it as an Airbnb or a short-term rental.
Mm,
So yes, those
mm,
neighborhoods, and I will say that some of the residents in those neighborhoods, and there's several near downtown,
right.
um, the effect I've seen that it has had on them is taxes go up, your property taxes,
Really? Woo!
because the value of the homes are
Now we
increasing
talking.
tremendously. So a lot of, your maybe your grandma who's lived there for 50, 60 years, whose home has not been renovated is being affected by the higher prices in that area. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. There's a thousand other questions I could ask, but I want to kind of switch it up to keep it moving in regards to that. But
Sure.
thank you, because that was some key information I feel like people
Yeah.
need to know about. Thank you. Thank you. In one
Uh-huh.
of your YouTube videos, you were
Uh-huh.
talking about that you actually got a seller willing to pay for closing costs and buy down the interest rate. What? That's like finding a unicorn right now. So how are you doing, and what strategies are you using to make sure your buyers are taking advantage of these? Any specific approaches that you're using that leverage getting a seller to pay for closing costs? How are you doing this?
Well, right now, as we all know, interest rates are higher, right? And so we do have buyers that are ready to buy, but they are reluctant due to the interest rate. So the way we've
Right.
been formulating or putting together our offers is we ensure that we ask the seller in our contracts to contribute towards buying down the rate or towards closing costs, right? And so
Wow.
yeah, I feel like right now, buyers can take advantage of
I
that.
could, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I agree.
So, and it's a great way, even though our pricing is still a little bit higher,
Mm-hmm.
if we
Mm-hmm.
do a market analysis for our client, we can see how many sales have included contributions to closing costs. And it's not uncommon to see a large amount of sales in a neighborhood pay where we have sellers paying for closing costs.
Right.
So a buyer should not be afraid to buy right now because of the interest rates.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
yeah.
And considering the fact that, yeah, interest rates are, I don't even want to say they're high because they've dropped slightly, especially since
Mhm.
what, the last year or whatever the case may be. So
Correct.
they've slightly decreased, and as of right now, there's plans or hopes that it will decrease a few more times this year. But absolutely, yes, take advantage of that right now, specifically because we
It'll
don't
go
know
away.
what interest rates are going to be exactly. We don't know what
Yeah.
they're, but the fact that if you can team up with an agent like yourself who's going out there getting sellers to buy down the interest rate. When I saw that, I said, I need you to come to Michigan. Come help me. Come help
It
me. So
it's fun, Kevin.
yes, I love it. It shows that you have a passion for that negotiating and getting your clients that best deal. So good job, Janet. Good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job. I love to hear that. Luxury markets, though, a little bit different from just the average homes and stuff like that. It's usually comes with some type of creative pricing strategy. Can you delve into the
Correct.
specific challenges you face with luxury properties and how you collaborate with an appraiser to determine the best pricing strategy?
Sure. So I love to sell in the luxury market, and here in San Antonio, our luxury is anywhere from 700,000 to over 1 million, right? So
Mm,
whenever you can get your hands on a listing that big, it's just fabulous. Of course, with that come different challenges. I did have one listing, ranch style home, just outside of the city limits, no comparables to this property. So my client was insistent in getting over $1 million for this home, and I wasn't what I kept coming back with was, "Hey, we're about an $800,000 house." So,
mm,
fortunately, been in the industry for a while, and I have a couple of appraisers that are my friends. And so I was able to dissect the listing and work with the appraiser to say, "Hey, let's add value. Can I really get this home over 1 million? So let's add value for this, and that." And so we kind of worked on that together. And I went back to my client and I said, "Hey, I think we'll be close." Fortunately, it took a few offers, but eventually we broke the barrier. We broke the $1 million range, a cash deal,
oh,
and then right. So again, I utilized the appraiser to help me say, go back with my counter and say, "Hey, we're going to add value. Let's explain this to the agent and say, hey, it's worth it because of this, and that." And so
right.
we were able to crush that $1 million range for this client. So
Mm.
that's how I worked with the appraiser on this deal.
Oh wow, wow, that's interesting. I feel like more agents should do that though, right? That when I saw that, I said that seems like a great idea. See, because the pricing of the home is really what determines when it's going to sell. Essentially, right? If
Correct.
it's priced right, quote unquote, it could almost sell immediately. So,
Right.
I feel like most agents should be doing that, but they aren't. What made I mean, I can understand why you went to them, but can you speak on it a little bit more? Like it's
Yeah, so this
oh
this
please.
particular property is surrounded by $1 million homes, but there was nothing in other neighborhoods, but there was nothing specifically in the neighborhood this property was located in
Right.
that had broke the $1 million mark. And
Mm,
so had land, so there was value in that.
right.
So it took me a few months to get the property sold. I had offers below the $1 million range, and my client said, "No, no, no, no. This property is worth more." So he held out until we were able to hit that number that he wanted. And as soon as we broke that barrier, he was happy. And then it just came down to negotiating with the other agent on the value for the upgrades this house had. And it worked out well in this case.
Nice, nice. I saw there was another situation, and I wonder if this is the same one where you basically, it seemed like you did the same thing. There were some adjustments for extensive renovation, solar panels, and a pool. And
Yes.
so was this the same property that you were talking about?
It is the same
Ah,
property. So this, I would say this is probably one of my biggest accomplishments in terms of sales in real estate in the years that I've been selling, because I
mm,
had so many agents say or tell me there's no way you're going to get over $1 million for this property. But by working with the appraiser and adding the value for the renovations done to the pool, the solar panels,
right,
and it
right.
had been extensively renovated, this home, we were able to get the price for the client. And I was happy
That's
because I got it.
Yeah, yeah, you did it against
Yeah,
all the naysayers too, right? But that's
correct.
always interesting because I hear so often about not pricing your home out of the market or in that area, right? And that's essentially making renovations and making, additions to your home that could potentially make it cost more than what the average person would pay in that specific community. It almost seems like that was the case, but you kind of flipped it and actually went deep into, like you said, the features, the amenities, and explained as to why it really should be of this specific price.
Correct. That is exactly correct.
Yeah,
So,
that's great work.
yes, thank you. And we always tell a client, like, you don't want to over upgrade your home where you're going to price
Hmm.
yourself out of the
Exactly.
market. And in this case, it was just, I had a unicorn. I was a unicorn in this market, in the area where there had been no comparable sales. But within a mile radius of this house, you have homes, brand new properties that are selling for over $1 million. And so it was definitely
Yeah.
challenging, but I got it done.
Yeah, yeah. Good job.
So
Good job. Love
thank
to hear
you.
that. Love to hear that. So to kind of bring things full circle, I
Uh-huh.
love to ask this kind of, a little bit off topic, but is there a movie, book, quote, or philosophy that you kind of live by that kind of shaped your perspective as a professional or shaped your perspective personally?
Well, I love reading. I try to read every morning before I go to the gym. And I saw your questions ahead of time. And the book that stood out to me is The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Okay.
And, I'm a Keller Williams agent as well. So, one of the things that I quickly learned as my real estate business started escalating is because I do get young people or young agents who want to start real estate, and real estate's hard. It's not easy by any means, but
Hmm.
they want to do it part-time. And to me, if you want to make the money in real estate, you have to be all in. You have to be 100% in, and you have to dive in. It's a job. You have to treat it
Hmm.
like a job. And when you have multiple things going on and you're focused on more than one thing, it's really hard to do one thing well. And so that's my advice to someone new starting in the business is, man, jump in 100% if you can, because it it'll take time to get there and really start making that money in real estate, but it can be done, and some quicker
That's
than
right.
others.
I
So,
love that. I love
yeah.
that. The one thing. Thank you so much. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to pick that up myself. Well, thank you again, Janet, for pulling up a chair
Yes.
to the closing table. It's a perfect place to land the plane. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I have a team, an Empire Real Estate team. We are part of Keller Williams Heritage. You can reach out to me. Can I give my phone number? Is that what you
Absolutely.
want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want.
You can call, text, email. Number to reach me is 210-389-4715. You can find me on social media too. So
There it is. Well said. Thank you again, Janet, so much for being here. For our YouTube audience watching, if you got into this part, hit the like button. Make sure you also share. Make sure you also subscribe. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Hey, Janet, I'd like to leave our audience with a question. So this is for you, audience. If you have ever been in an Airbnb, what are some of the features or amenities that you like the most? I wish I could say. Actually, I'm going to leave some in the comments below, and I want you to do the same. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.